Hello, people. It's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. With me, as usual, are my beautiful co-hosts. Hello, ladies. Good morning.
Good morning. Don't do this thing. You just gotta read news one day and say good morning. No. You know, some things can be accepted on your view. You can't do it.
No, of course, I wouldn't say
good morning, you said.
Yes, she said it. Blame it on Nima. Blame it on Nima.
Okay.
Nima is the one.
It's not nice when you hear you say good morning, son. Mario. You know, it's just this Yoruba way of having a Yoruba. You know, Yoruba when they want to go out, you say, oh, morning. So morning, kind of thing. That's how.
Blame Nima.
Why are you blaming me again?
Veronica, see.
Your hands are clean.
You are the
That's my hand.
All right, you're looking all bright and beautiful. We've been fighting over Mariam's clothing. And, well, I don't want to bring it on the show, but she knows where it is going after the show anyway.
Oh, thank you.
transparent. You can't wear this.
Eshe, God will bless you.
What kind of bias habit?
I don't. God will bless you. Talk, man. High five. Thank you for fighting my cause.
Because I'm, hijab compliant, I already know how it's supposed to be done. I have the inner at home already.
See, you know what was
Just
funny?
send
When
it
I
over.
wore it today, my daughter was like, "Oh, mommy, I love it so much. You look like Auntie Nima."
Can you imagine?
Don't worry, I'm coming from Agbalumo very soon.
You don't know where it might be going.
All right, talk. How was your event yesterday?
It was beautiful. It was really, really good. We had the Amnesty International League, Abuja country manager at the place talking, because we're talking about human rights. Yeah. And at a point, I was scheduled to speak second to the last. It was almost like everybody had said everything, but do you know why God just takes over? My mother said, don't worry, you're born to talk. This thing just comes to you. Because I wanted to talk about, I mentioned yesterday, I was going to talk about human rights to life and the right for education. They are taking over those ones. But I realized Nigerians are generally angry. Everybody had something against the police officers. And I said, the police self, they are angry. And the issue is because the politicians are not in tune to what is going on in Nigeria. So they are isolated. So the people on ground fighting themselves, politicians enjoying themselves. Here is what we can do. Get your PVC votes.
Abi?
That's the thing.
Nimo.
Okay. Nima is preparing for Sunday. I'll be hosting the Criterion Muslim Women in Business Hijab Day event happening at Lasus. And the list of dignitaries coming and the list of guests already is intimidating. See me studying last night. I said at 2 a.m. Once I got their profile, I said, when I get there, I just want it to be coming off my head, and I want to dress, you can just send me this clothes.
No problem.
To fit the occasion.
Done.
I'm even going to do makeup on fleek. It's not
I'm so happy.
I'm going to impress. I'm leaving home at 7. Don't worry, that day.
She has planned it.
It's a very serious. We have to make the
Serious
impressions
matter.
where it
Please
matters.
take picture.
The Criterion Women in Business.
Yeah.
You better take it seriously.
But I think
Okay,
it's
I am not
Professionals.
hosting an event, but I went for my daughter's. She had a presentation, and yes, on Wednesday it was so good to see her. She led the her class in prayer, and the national anthem and everything. Anyway, but we were talking about bullying, and sometimes I think it's a word we think is just for for primary school for little kids.
No,
but the thing is, this bullying has become such a part of us that we see stories today, in the papers and how we treat each other, and it can only be bullying. And it must have started from when you were young, and then you get away with it. Somehow, society also allows you get away with it. You become an adult and you're bullying people. The story of the lady that had that was all over social media, that had the pepper. That is just serious case of bullying.
It's sad,
Yeah.
It's really sad. Anyway.
Veronica, how are you doing?
I'm good. I wanted to talk about an experience I had yesterday when I went to the market. After the show, I decided to go to the market. Yes, we're running out of time, but I'll just drop this. And, people were just looking at me, this person on TV, blah, blah, blah. If you're on TV, I have my standards. I don't live by people's standards. Don't always think that because I'm on TV, I cannot get to the market. I cannot price market. I cannot do whatever.
Welcome to the club.
This is why people get depressed.
Come and shop where
But anyway, let's quickly move forward. We need to take this break and get to the newspaper headlines.
Go to Bush Market.
Anyway, thank you for staying with us. Let's quickly head to the newspaper headlines now. We'll start with the Punch. Major headlines: elections. PDP rejects redeployment of 37 CPs, says it's politically tainted. Tinubu's ex-CSO, Egbetokun, now Kwara CP. That's a commissioner of police. Ikoyi Cash, we can't find ex-NIA DG wife, says EFCC. BRT boss crushes teenager to death in Lagos. Wow, that's sad. INEC ensures 1 million personnel involved in 2019 polls. I'll provide security to make sure elections are free. That's President Buhari speaking. Agbaje pledges to spend half of Lagos budget on education. Federal government recorded 910 billion naira fiscal deficit in 3 months. That's CBN speaking. And then we have Apakwa gridlock. FG reopens Levantis Bridge. Polls, El-Rufai slammed for issuing death threats to foreigners. Customs intercept police uniforms, tear gas in Lagos. NLC wants minimum wage excluded from income tax.
Okay,
So I have a human interest story. Yes, an 18-year-old girl, Adana Isaac, was killed by a BRT bus. The driver, she was crossing the lane, and he hit her. He fled the scene. People said that eventually they spoke to the police, and the police said that he fled the scene. That he actually hit her by mistake. He didn't know that she was really close to the bus when he got up to drive out. He didn't notice her, but that he fled the scene because he knows how we take justice into our hands. And they had a mob that broke down the windows of the bus and everything. Sad story.
Really sad.
Yeah.
Because has been the BRT, the company in charge of the BRT has, provided 200,000 for her burial and promised insurance for such victims. But then again, inside the story in the Punch is the picture of the story, and you will see the bus stop, Irabor bus stop on Ikorodu Road. There's a pedestrian bridge very close to the scene of the accident, and it would amaze me. It amazes me how Nigerians would abandon, such safety measure to cross the road. According to the chief security officer of the BRT bus, business, he said that the accident was so close that even when he stepped on the brakes, he still climbed on the body. So you see, he didn't see how it was too close in range. Please avoid these stories that touch. Yeah. Let's use the pedestrian bridges being provided.
All right, the other human angle story, Nima. You have
no, that was it.
That's Ikoyi Cash?
Yeah, okay, that's Ikoyi Cash. We can take it somewhere else.
All right, let's quickly move forward then. The nation now, Buhari to PDP, EU, El-Rufai spoke in national interest. Governor, we are waiting for those seeking intervention. PDP threatens to dump peace deal, EU won't quit. Lagos, Kwara, Kogi, others get new police chiefs. Ajimobi conveys accident victims to UCH. How we killed hotelier manager by suspect. Man commits suicide. And then we have ACF support for Atiku won't change polls outcome. Air Force acquires 22 aircraft to battle insurgency. AFCC can't serve ex-NIA chief. $4 billion FDI coming into Africa. Lagos restricts movement. Who has a story here?
So should I start with the El-Rufai, so you can do, or you want to do the human interest?
Okay, let's do the human interest quite short. So I know we've been following the story of the hotelier that had been murdered by her staff. So one of them is confessing in police custody, and he said that they thought that their employers were miserly, so that was why they did what they did. And thank God for the CCTV, they were caught. And he's talking about all the others that they came together. About 8 of them came together to plan this.
So the good thing is Lagos State has rearranged, even with all the schools, to ensure that there will be, the midterm break will be positioned just before the elections. I think that we should all appropriately obey that instruction. Do your shopping before election. Don't go out the day before if you don't need to. And don't go out the day after if you don't need to. I think we should all be aware that there are security measures for our protection, and we should also comply with them.
I would like to take on the point in the nation. One of the stories, the mega rally happening on Saturday by the APC in Surulere, and these areas will be affected. The National Stadium, Teslim Balogun, Fusha Williams, Lawansin Itirero, Tejo Show, all the way to the main bridge, Obalende International, and all that area will be affected.
So Mariam not going out?
Yeah, I already know. I'm aware.
I would love to see, they said there will be total closures, diversion in some areas, but I'd love to see proper planning. You know,
but they've informed you,
so you should plan your movement. That's why you.
But you know,
I have other facilities.
I like that you mentioned. Let me just quickly add to that. I like that you mentioned that it should be properly planned, because we were stuck in our house during the marathon, and my husband was like, "What if you have an emergency? We couldn't go out. They stopped us completely." So yes, they should be able to create some sort of movement for us. You know, that come out. We cannot come out of our estate at all.
Somebody goes on living in labor.
All right, let's move to another story, to another paper now. It's Daily Sun. Major headline: U.S. dispatches Clinton to meet Buhari. Atiku, ex-president, on mission to get candidates' commitment to peace. And we have Wike to UK envoy. Watch Nigeria's polls closely. El-Rufai adamant on warning to foreigners. Kaduna governor defending Nigeria's sovereignty. Aid. Outrage greets alleged threat to international community. Leadership crisis rocks Yoruba Council of Elders. Agbaje promises to devote 50% of Lagos budget to education. But 2019 elections, customs intercepts bills of police uniforms, tear gas canisters. Northern youth stakeholders endorse Atiku 2019. I'll provide security to ensure free, fair elections. That's President Buhari speaking there. And
so Agbaje, campaigning at the Lagos Business School, mentioned that he plans to devote 50% of Lagos budget to fund the educational sector. Says that the education prepares people for the future, and that he wants an education-driven economy, and that is estimating to establish and recalibrate our educational ecosystem and relate the value chain within the first year. So in the minimum, 45% of budget is going to go to education. I love the sound of that. Let me hear what Sanwo-Olu has to say.
Yeah, 45%. I hope then we are able to afford other things like health. And I mean, if we take all our money,
let me hear what
education
Sanwo-Olu
is
has
important.
To say.
All right, can we move forward now?
Yes.
Yeah. To the New Telegraph, we have major headline polls. Will pull out of peace accord if, that's the PDP, wants US, UK to impose travel ban on El-Rufai. EU to El-Rufai, we don't interfere in electoral process. Governor, I didn't call for violence with body bags comment. And then we have Buhari's visit. Lagos restricts traffic on 18 roads. Tankers, trucks banned from state on Friday and Saturday. Akume Otom arming militia to rig Benue elections. Or Tom, you want to militarize state with federal might. Police polls rather shake up as police deploys 37 CPs, 18 AIGs. Fitch Access Diamonds merger won't herald further consolidation. Outrage as men strip rob pepper in ladies' private part. Well, Nima, that's your story. We are coming to that. Yes, Kanu backtracks, grants Atiku chance to use stadium.
So I chose this story over El-Rufai's story because over the weekend, a fan of your view living abroad had contacted me on social media that he needed to inform me about an assault on a young lady, and he wanted me to do something about it. So I gave him my number. He sent me a WhatsApp video, very vivid, horrible pictures of how this lady was assaulted and abused in public, brought naked and stripped naked and, you know, totally abused and pepper, you know, put in her private part. And I couldn't even finish the video initially. We had to continue talking, and I wanted more facts to help me. But thankfully to the groups, the League of Lawyers in Edo State and some other lady group coming together to compel the Commissioner of Police, because this happened in Benin City. They were speaking Benin dialect. The lady too is from Edo State that sent the video. She was saying, I could understand Benin language, and I was saying, you know. And fortunately, we were able to trace the lady to the police hospital. They found her. She's undergoing treatment. She insisted in that video she didn't have a phone. Even if she did have a phone, even if she did take a phone, by the time they stripped her naked, they didn't find the phone on her, and they went on to brutalize and abuse her in such a way. So I want to use this medium that we have now to call on the commissioners of police that in that video, you could clearly see the face of the person, the perpetrator. You know, the perpetrator.
They are human beings.
They are human beings. They can be traced. We need a prosecution and a conviction.
This has to serve as a deterrent.
This isn't the first time.
There was the
It isn't the first time that lady died. this isn't the first time. It is extremely wicked for human beings to do such to another person for no reason.
It is.
And it is not the police job, it is
There's
us,
also
human beings.
suggestion that she was supposed to be raped and she fought, and that was why they brought her in public and tried to cover it up with before.
Well, we've run out of time. That's the much we can take from the newspaper headlines this morning. So many stories. But next, we have a phenomenal guest, rather, in the studio today. You don't want to miss this segment. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Well, thank you for staying with us. She is a Nigerian columnist, philanthropist, writer, publisher, a founder of Genevieve magazine. She formerly has column at Black and Beauty magazine in the United Kingdom. She also has a foundation that promotes breast cancer awareness, early detection and treatment. Please welcome with us the delectable Betty Irabor. Finally! Oh, God!
We need to celebrate this.
Of course, we need to celebrate.
Cheers
Cheers for being here.
Good to have you here.
Good to have you here.
Yes.
Anyway, join the conversation on 070-8066-8014. Tweet to us at TVC Connect with the hashtag YourViewTVC. Congratulations on your book. It was mentioned, I think, by Vanguard, one of the newspapers, as one of the top 15 books.
Yes.
All right. Now, let me quickly take a quote from your book. It says, "I heard the voice, you're not good. I tried to ignore it, but it wouldn't go unheard. You're nothing. You're just a big, fat failure." Now, Genevieve, like you wrote, is a product of many sacrifices, as much as every other thing you have ventured into. So, what could have been the trigger? Where did this come from?
Thank you very much, ladies. This invitation has been open for as long as I can remember.
Of course.
You know, and any time is a good time, so I think this is a good time to be here. First, I'd like to correct something on the introduction. I only contributed once to Black Hair and Beauty in the UK.
Okay.
I was never a columnist because I've seen that keeps coming up in my profile, and I thought before they start tweeting that I didn't work there and all that. Okay. And the thing about depression is that it takes you into this dark hole, and all you see is darkness. You do not have the luxury of remembering your accomplishments.
Wow.
It's the most vulnerable period of your life. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are, how beautiful you are, how celebrated you are, how high your profile is, what you have achieved globally. When it hits you, all you see is just a nobody, a failure.
Wow.
So when I went through that journey, which lasted about 7 years, all I could see was a failure. I couldn't think, I couldn't see my achievements. And it was one of the things that people tried to use to get me out of it, that you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. You're a successful woman, you're a good mother, you've been married X number of years. People look up to you, you're a role model, you're a mentor. I couldn't see that.
So it didn't work?
I couldn't see that.
Wow. I feel
all I could see was this failure of a woman.
Wow.
And that's what depression does to you.
So I read the book as well, and mine was, when I went away thinking, this woman has to be, for me, this is an act of bravery and courage to, just lay yourself out like that. And especially for someone who is in the eye of the media, whether we like it or not, we are judged by the way we look.
Definitely.
As you said, when you go to the market, the things you wear, and then you constantly criticize or praise, and then you come out and you lay it all out. Why?
I felt very naked when writing the book. And when the first manuscript came out, I said to my publishers at Kurama that no, it was too much of me out there. I felt very vulnerable. I felt like I wasn't a strong woman, and that strong women don't go through this thing, you know, that I went through, and that people were going to judge me. Then someone had said to me, you know what, if you write this book, you'll never get a board appointment. You'll never get a political appointment. People are going to look at you differently. And then I weighed my options. This was a journey I had walked, and this was a pain that I only know of. And then I weighed my options. I looked at it. What was I going to do with all this thing that happened to me? Was I going to bury it as something that only I know because I'm afraid of being stigmatized, or because I'm afraid I won't get a board appointment, or I will not get a political appointment? I'm a hardworking woman. I have no expectations from any quarters. I work hard, and I expect I'll get returns on that. So the least of my problem when I was writing the book, after I had the dialogue with my publishers, was, Betty, look at the good that this book would do to a lot of people. I felt very vulnerable. It was like being naked, you know, and being in the streets square, and everybody's looking at you, and then there you are, this role model, this top shot, this woman who is so accomplished, and they're reading this one and they're thinking, oh my God, there was a time she almost took her life. Oh my God, she was that vulnerable. She went to Yaba, left, she saw psychiatrist.
Oh gosh,
knowing how stigmatized people with mental health are.
Thank you so
I was scared. But then, you know, when you're 61, you've seen life.
Exactly. Did you get at any point get that stigmatization from people, those who read your book? Did you feel
No, but someone has come to me and said, I can't believe you shared so much. I mean, what does your family think? Were they with you? I mean, are you guys still united? Did it divide the family? And I was thinking, these are the type of conversations that we must have. Definitely. We do not need another woman now coming to me, I've written my book. And she said, oh, that was very brave of you, in a very condescending and in a very, like, I don't approve manner. Like, did you run this by your family?
Wow.
You know?
Thank you so much for doing this. Honestly, I applaud your bravery, and I think that generations after you're gone would remember this for good, because we live in a hush-hush society that we don't talk about mental health issue. Particularly, I like your experience when your driver said, you can't be seen going there.
Yes.
And we had a doctor from Yaba here.
Yes.
And I kept saying, I know you do a good job, but I don't want to be your patient. I know you do a good job, but I don't want to be a patient. And I watched the show after, and I felt that the truth is, most of us don't realize how terrible depression is and mental health is. And we just think by motivating ourselves, it will switch. So we asked the doctor, what are the medications you were giving your patient? And he said, oh, it was on point. And I read your book, and I read your experience.
Oh, what a calamity.
And I'd like to just explain to people that you said you went to Dubai, and you put your drugs on the table,
and the guy was
psychiatrist
like,
said that this would kill you.
Are you a lab rat? You know, the trip to Dubai was very, at the time I went to Dubai, I could not sink any further. I mean, we all know this thing, he who is down need fear no fall, you know,
because
so I was already down. So here I was walking into a department that boldly read psychiatry. I didn't think about it. I was past caring. I just wanted help. I wanted to be my old Betsy. I wanted my family back. I wanted to be that woman who laughed, who had confidence to go out. So I walked into the hospital and I talked to the doctor about all my medications, and he just sorted them out and said to me, this is the same as this. This is the same as this. I prescribed all this to you.
And all used to go from Nigerian hospitals?
Oh, from every time I went to see a psychiatrist, as you're going in, before you finish talking, you already have your prescription. Amitriptyline, 100 milligrams, Serosat, 40 milligram start, and then you are having this, you're having that, you're having this. So he said it was too much. And then one of the biggest things that we do not have here, the emotions that we should show, is that there are no empath. Yes. Empathy is very lacking, and it is very, very essential in the treatment of depression. So I walk in there, and this man, like Santa, you know, and he smiled, and the sun just shone, you know, so, and it was like, come in. And I was conscious of all my hyperpigmentation. I was all wrinkled up. I had bags under my eyes from not sleeping, from crying, and from just being totally at a loss. So the minute I came in, it's like, you smile well. Immediately I smiled again. And then after sorting out everything, I had Morning Dew, my first book, and I put it on his table and a copy of Genevieve. And he goes, you're a celebrity. You know, so I loosened up, and he said, this is my copy. This is my copies, I said. So he took them, and then he told me, he said to me, I'm going to make you well. You're going to be well again. Then he now said to me, your face, he said, when you start to sleep, when you start to drink water, he said, your face would improve. And for some reason, my face and how I looked, I was really gaunt. I was a size 0. I was a size 0. I weighed 55 kilograms. So the wind could literally like blow you away. Yeah, I left that place feeling like somebody just injected me with some hope. The empathy. He didn't do much, but he spoke to me. He didn't talk at me. He didn't talk at me. He didn't even like, when I went to see a psychiatrist in Lagos, the minute I came and said, oh, you know that celebrity. And then I remember seeing another psychiatrist, and he said to me, yes, when I saw you in this day newspaper, I told my wife, this woman is depressed.
Oh my goodness. What?
Just like that?
Yeah.
He threw it at you?
Yeah. Wow. This is me coming to you, and you just
hitting you while you're down.
Wow. Okay, so
hang on, please.
I wanted to make sense of, you know, the depression in the book, and you know, I sort of linked the source to your journey through menopause, because that was when that was when it started, and I felt it has to be something that, you know, it has to be from there. The trigger. Because I looked at the childhood experience, and I thought you had dealt with it the moment you started.
I thought so too.
You know, I felt it has to be. Take us through that journey, how the insomnia, the drugs, and then you had to see a doctor, and the kind of treatment you got from the kind of doctors that you saw.
The whole, you know, in life, there's some things that hit us when we're very young. And then we think we've actually dealt with them. We think we've actually come to a place of understanding, a place of acceptance of what was dealt us when we were young. Later, as I saw my therapist, the last of the therapists who saw me through this journey, she took me back to my father, leaving us in a very, very traumatic way, as you must have read in the book.
Hold a thought? We need to go on this break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Do stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Menopause.
All right, you're still watching the Thursday edition of Your View, and we still have our guest in the studio. Before we went on the break, you were trying to explain to us the journey, you know, from childhood, how, you know, and menopause and all of that.
Okay, so leaving the barracks the way we did when my dad left, right there, I think I was about 8, I'm not quite sure of that. So we're now being raised by our mom, who struggled. She had 2 jobs, one day, one night, just to make sure we had a good life. I thought I had dealt with that, which is another thing. Sometimes when relationships go bad, when we're grieving, we think we've gone past it and that it cannot have a hold on us anymore. But subconsciously and mentally, sometimes they can still have a hold on us. I've always had sleep issues. I think it started when I was in university and used to drink a lot of coffee You know, I was being raised by a single mom. She struggled to send me to uni, and I had this pressure not to fail, not to disappoint her. I've always been an average child, you know, average, but I wanted to be more than average for my mom. It's only now that I thought it was for you as well. But I wanted to please her because I had failed once. I had to repeat a class in Methodist Girls High School. And she took it so nicely. You know, when you repeat a whole year, it means you're paying that. Yeah. So I was under pressure, so I had the cola nut, I had the coffee. So I didn't realize that I had triggered something. So over the years in my marriage, after my children were born, I was always on one sedative or the other. And then sometimes I would abuse it. I'll take the Lexotan and mix it with the Magadon and add the Valium just to sleep. So gradually insomnia was dealing with me. And then after my 50th birthday, menopause.
Whoa. All right, let's quickly take this call from Omomi calling from Agbado. Welcome to the show, Omomi. Go ahead with your question. Oh, we missed that call.
Sorry.
All right,
I have
so
a
Miriam.
question, yes. So, I don't know, I want to say this, you know, with all respect and everything. You're a woman in the media, and you're described a lot for, you know, apart from your achievements with as a columnist and philanthropist, for your looks and for your fashion. Do you think that there's in any way that women who find themselves in positions like as they get older, that there's the fear of, you know, I'm getting older and I'm still being put on this pedestal. For us, we're looking at you as like the most amazing 60-something-year-old we see. But is there a fear of, oh, I'm getting older, and so could that trigger some sort of challenges? Is it a valid fear?
The thing is, in a funny way, I do not do age. I'm not an ageist. I don't see age. I don't have any battle with growing older because I look good. And I work hard to look good. I exercise, my nutrition, my food. So it's the least of my problems. So I'm not, like sometimes I go out, I don't have any makeup. I'm not bothered about aging because we're all going to age. We can only fight it up to an extent. That's not one of the battles I'm fighting.
All right, now when we start reading the book, it's like, okay, it was more about you were wondering, okay, where is her husband? Where is her husband at some point? And then we began to see you unravel how he came in. So, and you talked about it earlier, somehow that's the challenge here, getting support, especially from family. I spoke with someone who had suffered depression and anxiety, and she told me she's not getting as much support from her family, and that is not helping her heal fast. So for those who are listening, who might be going through a challenge like this, tell us, express the kind of support you got from especially your husband and family as well.
People have asked me that I need to do an edition on family support, and it really pains me when people send me. I get a lot of DMs, I get a lot of phone calls, and people say there is absolutely no one, no sibling, no husband, married but not married. And then I learned to really, really appreciate the role my family played. Every time I slept, it was news. Headline news. I know, Gloria, Betty soon. You know, Barbara.
Okay. Sorry, I have to interrupt this discussion now because we have a caller on the line. Welcome to the show. Go ahead with your contribution, please. Are you there?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, quickly. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead with your contribution.
All right. I want to thank all of you for this beautiful edition.
Thank you.
Mrs. Irabor, I want to just, support you. I want to say you've been a source of inspiration for so many. I'm sure your appearance on this program today will also heal so many wounds, will also calm down so many nerves.
True.
And it will also be, something for many people to hold on to in their very many struggles. Please continue to be gracious, and I am sure the Lord is with you all the time. I know your husband, a very, good man. He's been very, very helpful to people. Right. He has also been part of my own success in my little way in Lagos. I wish your family all the best, madam.
Thank you so much.
Let me quickly add the tweets praising her to that. Prince Ajibade Isaac is saying, thank you, Auntie Betty. You just rekindled my hope. And Andrew Streetham is saying, what's your daily routine that you look gracious and beautiful?
All right, so we want you to expatiate on the support you were trying to talk about earlier.
My family went through the journey with me every step of the way. And I remember this particular day that I was feeling, I had suicide ideation, and the feeling was so strong, and the voice was like, you're no good, you're a failure, look at this person, look at that person. Is this where you should be by now? Look at your face. And at that stage, I really wasn't looking in the mirror again. I would pass the mirror and I would turn my face because my skin was ashen, dark, gray from insomnia, because that's when your body rejuvenates. So I wasn't looking at the mirror, and I had also agreed with the voice that I was no good enough, and that's okay, take your life, and which I planned to do. It was a Sunday, and I was waiting for my husband to go to church because I started pottering about the house, moving. I was so restless. I was like, are you not going to church? He says, unless you're coming with me. And I became impatient, so I just dashed to my dressing table, picked up my bottles of antidepressants, and ran into the bathroom. But he was just in time to put his foot between the door, and it's not really that easy to be trying to open. So by the time I removed the second hand, I was able to push the door, and I was, let me die, I want to die. And every step of the way, there was no hospital visit that he wasn't there. There was no admission that he wasn't there. So we literally...
We love you, Uncle Sonny. God bless you.
Thank you, Uncle Sonny.
God bless you.
God bless you. My Sonia, my Omori, my siblings. As I said, every day that I was better was widely celebrated across the globe, wherever the Irabors, the Bello Osaigis, the Odomosus, all of them were.
I hear we have a caller on the line. Please, welcome to the show. Just go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for this wonderful topic today. I'd like to speak with Mr. Irabor, so please, if you can, in a very special way, help out my sister. I have somebody who's very close to me. She's been depressed to depression for the past since 2007. And up till now, she keeps getting so many medications from different psychiatric hospitals in Nigeria. And to me, I keep telling my parents that, this is not going to help her, because she gets out of it for like just a few months, and the next, maybe she's out for like 2 months, and the next 5 months she's back into it.
That was me.
It doesn't make me feel good. There are times that she has attempted to commit suicide. She keeps hearing these voices that keeps talking to her and all those things. Depression is not a good thing at all.
At all.
All right.
Thank you. Just
answer that question.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Dr. wanted to, please.
Because you already have the pink
ball foundation,
and you have that foundation that deals with cancer awareness, and now obviously depression is a big deal and everybody's looking to you as this beacon of hope for those that are going through this challenge. I am very passionate about the health sector because I've been through it and I know we need help. What are you doing to champion the cause of mental health now? Do you have a foundation? Is there anything you're doing? We need you.
I'm good. I'm in a good place. But I have to be very honest with myself. Do I have the emotional capacity to take on that weight, that burden of other people's problem? Because I have been there. And I know that psychiatrists and counselors and therapists are trained to be impersonal, not to get emotional. The girl I was helping to get out of depression, when she began to self-harm, and the morning she sent me a letter that I'm sorry, I have to disappoint you, but I'm gone, bye-bye, goodbye. And then she took an overdose. And I called Dr. Maimuna, and I was crying on the phone that she's taking her life. I can't get her on the phone. I can't get her. And Dr. Maimuna said, Auntie Betty, you cannot do this. You're not trained for it. You're in a very delicate place. Yes, you have all the good intention. So the question is, I take my day one after the time as I'm led. I'm already doing counseling to people. People send me a lot of messages. I just direct them to my doctors, my therapists. But most of them were like, no, we want to speak to you because you have been on that journey. So I'm taking more speaking engagements. I'm going touring Africa, talking about mental health. I counsel people, but I'm not sure if I want to take it on as I did ping ball, because even that was a huge burden on me. So I will take it moment by moment, day by day.
Let me quickly shout out to Dr. Maimuna. She'll be speaking at the Criterion Muslim Women in Business and Profession. I noticed in the book, I'm from Edo State, by the way. Okay. That your dad's the story. No, I'm from the Auchi side, so say more. And when I read the book, I could relate. I was also born in a barracks of sort, and you know, in the town at the time, everybody was into military service. It was almost like an Edo thing. Yes. That, you know, the dads would leave, and I used to see my uncle and say, I can never marry an Edo man. But my father remained. All of us were like that. He made an example of, you know, what a husband should be like. And thankfully, I married someone very much like my dad, and from Edo as well. So when I hear people say it's an Edo thing, and I live a life that, you know, that rebuts that fact, and I've read, your husband is also from Edo, you rebut that fact. How many times do you have to say, Edo men don't necessarily leave their families? No. It's not, you know, because it never got resolved for me when I continued into your marriage and he still wasn't willing to give you out. I was like, I've seen this happen to some of my cousins. It did happen to me, but yet people can still say it's an Edo thing. I never wanted to marry an Edo man. Never. A Benin man, no. It used to be like, never, you know. I don't know how it came about that no, Benin men, then it was Benin men are not romantic, you know. And I think those are the assumptions that we make every day, you know, about people, about life, and things that we really don't know. I always dated Yoruba men in the university, Yoruba demons.
At this point, we need to quickly take a break. When we return, the conversation continues as usual. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, the conversation still continues, even though it continued off the air, but, you know, let's allow Betty go ahead with the conversation we were having earlier.
Yes, you know, sometimes people make these assumptions about men. I'm in a very good marriage. I've been married 35 years. Awesome. You know, going on 36. And from when we met till now, nothing has changed. Of course, I married for all the right reasons. I married somebody who is my friend, and I'm that kind of person. I like to be spoiled by my husband. I'm a strong woman, but I am absolutely all feminine. At home, I am like, yes, you know, I won't do your job for you when you can. I'm like, Sonny, the bulb, can you fix the bulb, Sonny, the UPS, and I can do it.
I've seen you do it at an event. I scout for a seat in front. I see it.
So I want to be spoiled, and he spoils me. He spoils me. That's so sweet. I married a great man, and you know, there's so much emphasis on wealth now and riches. Is he loaded? You know, has he hammered? What car does he drive? Where does he live? I just wanted a man who would take care of me, and that's who I got. That's who I got.
I have a question still going towards support. It's a fantastic thing, you know, that your husband was good support. But then I find out that sometimes with family, it's not that when they do not support or come across as not supporting, it's not coming from a bad place. Yeah. They actually think that it's something you can snap out of. You know, I talk about my husband. My husband is fantastic as well. But my husband has this, when you have an issue, he's like, okay, if you're not happy, if you're sad, be happy. If you're down, get up, you know. So that's how he that's how he deals with a lot of things. And somehow I wonder, you know, when you're the support system around someone that's suffering depression, what advice would you give people who are supposed to be like support system? How to properly support someone going through this?
All right, before you answer that question, let's quickly take Abu, who is on the line. Welcome to the show, Abu. Quickly, Abu, can you hear us? Abu, are you there?
Oh, sorry.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
Sorry, I'm having senior moments. What did you say again?
Okay, I was saying, how would
like
you
that word,
advise?
Yeah.
How would you advise
Support.
people to
Yes.
support, to give
I'd
support
like
to
you to
someone
talk
going
about your
through?
sisters as well.
Okay, we were all raised by a single mom, and then we were all nurtured in such a way that there's a strong bond, you know, in the family. And even though at some point with other siblings you'll have your issues, but on this, it was like we have to save Betty. Initially, they didn't know how critical, how close I was to the edge. I'm falling over the edge. Initially, they thought, it's insomnia. If you don't sleep today, you sleep tomorrow. But when they saw me and they saw this ghost, this haunted look, they all knew there was a problem. But there was no time I got that somebody said to me like, oh, power or pull yourself together, snap out of it. But there was a lot of love. And when you're in a place like that, when you're in this hole, all you need is love. They may not understand because in the family, I am the first to go through that. So most of them didn't understand, but they just knew I was sick and needed help. And that was all they gave me. Sometimes also ask for help, as you spoke about your husband. Communicate, tell him exactly how you would like him to relate to you. And you relate to him the same way. You know how they say to people like this, easiest thing, you have a headache, your husband says to you, Pele. I have a headache, my husband says, Pele. He gets me the paracetamol, he gets me the water. There's a difference between him saying sorry and moving on.
All right, let me quickly go this way now. You talked about you're in a good place now.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take a quote from your book again. It says, depression is like being trapped between an elevator floors. When the elevator finally opens for you to escape, you are too afraid to step out into the real world. When did the elevator become open? And how did you, to step out and now begin to, move on?
Fear is a big part of depression. You are afraid of being judged. You're afraid you're not good enough. You're afraid of stigma. You're just afraid of living and being alive. So you're in this elevator. You're trapped in your mind because you're not really trapped. The door is open.
Yeah.
But you don't want to come out because you are afraid of the world. So you stay there. So it's self-slavery. But it is self-slavery only as long as you're still sick. Your mind cannot accept the fact that the door is open. Step out and embrace your life, your new life. Be happy, be free. So you're trapped in this dark world that even you cannot put a name to. And the way mine started was I had serious bouts of mood swings, happy today, and then you can just be talking to me and I'm shedding tears. And then you now panic and say, what did I say? But you didn't say anything. I'm just having a mood swing going. So with insomnia, with menopause, and with depression.
And
jeopardy, triple jeopardy.
When did you realize that you're getting to a good place? I guess that's the point I was trying to make.
Throughout the journey, I shot God out of this. And another thing that I think I did bravely is that I did not allow anybody spiritualize my situation. I did not go after pastors, priests, or anybody. I left spirituality out of it. And that wasn't because I'd read about it. It was just like, where I am now, I don't need you. When I stopped reading the Bible, I stopped praying. I'm angry with God that, I'm a good person. I'm a hardworking woman. I've done this, I've done that, but you still let me down. So stay on your lane, God, and let me wallow in this. But when everything was now coming together gradually, I picked up the Bible again. I had an open mind. I started trying to socialize. Even though when you go out there, people want to take a selfie with you. And you're so conscious. Makeup cannot hide scars. Makeup cannot hide fear. So even though I have all this makeup on, it couldn't hide the wrinkles. It couldn't hide. So I go out into an event after maybe 3 weeks of counseling that try and go to this event. And the minute you're out there, the paparazzi at you. And then I panic, I run back into the car. Or I will go to a function, I had the program like this. And they thought it was a style.
I'm
the final question.
Yes, I'm grateful that you were able to get out of it. your book has, you went through depression at the peak of your career, succeeded on every front. There are people out there that are going through depression and thinking, I don't have anything to live for, you know. Can you please give a word of encouragement to them? One, talk about how affirmations helped you. Two, talk about how diet and exercise helped you.
Okay, first and foremost, when I came out of depression, or on my way out of depression, I learned to speak back at that voice. I learned to challenge the voice, and I kind of, I would say to myself, I am successful. I am Betty Irabor. I started the narrative on breast cancer. I did this, I did this, I did it. And then I will find that when I'm affirming like that, the voice just disappears.
It's fear itself.
So speak love into your life. Seek help, because a lot of people are having this thing and they're afraid of stigma. Please do not allow the fear of stigma kill you. Do not allow depression to have the last say in your life just because you are afraid to go to Yaba left. All you want is to get well. But half of it, coming out of depression, most of the work had to come from me. The affirmations, gaining my confidence back, reading my books, staying in positive companies, editing my friendships, only choosing where I wanted to be and not allowing pressure on my life. And I say to you that after depression, I have a life now, pre-depression and post-depression. And the two, standing in the middle is a different Betty.
Wow. Thank you so much, Betty. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a great time. Thank you so much for coming eventually. Thank you, ladies. I'm sure we had a great time. We're just doing Well, thank you so much, viewers. That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. Bye now.